Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's August 11th, and these are your headlines. We have a lot of exotic species showing up across southern New England, from frigate max to chub max to all kinds of stuff that you usually only hear about in Florida. Also, bonito are starting to make charges inshore in several locations, and there are bull mahi being taken just 6 miles south of Newport. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The fishing news is sponsored by these fine partners.
So before we begin, just got to do my news items, and this week, unfortunately, my first bit of news is some bad news. I'm supposed to be on vacation this week, and technically I am. The family is together, but things with my dad have taken a really not good turn, and it's kind of hard to even talk about it, but we don't know how much longer we got with him. And so I hope you guys can forgive me. This report's not going to be as complete, probably, as most of my other ones. And just trying to get it done, to be honest with you. So it's going to be comprised mostly of other people's videos that have kind of come together around me to try to make it a little easier on me this week. So thanks for understanding, and we'll be returning to regularly scheduled programming as soon as possible here. Of course, also want to talk about the contest. You guys know how it works at this point, and it's going to end next week. I think I said it was going to be the 18th or something like that. We're going to end it on Friday next week, and I did see some entries come in this week. I haven't looked at them yet, but we'll get that all put together next week. And I really appreciate you guys for participating in that, and also, for something I forgot to say in the part where I was talking about my dad. I really do appreciate hugely all the support you guys have been giving me, and it's been really humbling to me, and I know, as I've passed a lot of these messages on to him, it's really floored him just to see, the community sort of rallying around him. So thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for all that. So let's get these reports started, and start things off as we usually do up on Plum Island. We're going to check in with James Jewkes.
How you doing, Dave? Little PSA before I get started. If anybody could get out and donate some platelets or whole blood, helps a lot. Crash victims, cancer patients, little kids that have certain diseases. One donation could save 3 lives. All right, on to the report. So, up in the Plum Island area, if you can get yourself over to the Gloucester area or into New Hampshire along those rocky edges, fish have been holding a little better with this warm temps. Deeper water means cooler water. That's where the fish are hanging. If you decide to make any beach runs, try to get the beach runs in at night on the incoming tide. Seems to be doing a little better. The chunking guys have been doing well on worms and clams, sitting on the bottom. Chunk max and pogies, not as good. I'm sure that's going to change very shortly. We have had some bait appear out on the beaches, silver sides. Pogies have been in close, and I know the max aren't too far offshore. The plug guys at night have been doing okay, fishing the sluggos or red fins or anything they can work extremely slow and methodical. Big part is if you find some current, you'll find some fish. I've had reports fish to 44 inches, but the predominant fish seems to be slot and just over. And that's it from Plum Island. All right, Dave, enjoy the rest of your vacation.
Thanks, James. I appreciate you stepping into the stepping into the spotlight there and shooting a video for us this week, and I'll check in with you again next week. Heading on down the coast, I did hear that the surf fishing and the inshore boat fishing has picked up again in the Scituate area. You know, North River, the cliffs, some of those other areas nearby, Tar Pouch and things like that. A lot of bunker showed up there again, and good numbers of bass in mixed sizes, you know, from schoolies all the way up, you know, well into the 30-pound class, maybe even beyond that. And some big bluefish too, big bluefish up into the low teens. So that's definitely something you guys can concentrate on down that way. As we head out onto the Cape, tuna fever's definitely still well entrenched there. Seems to be, the tuna seem to be on the medium to large side right now. All those usual spots, sword, crab, ledge, stellwagon, and you know, the places in between. A lot of bait and a lot of fish being caught out there. Coming down around the elbow of the Cape, starting to hear about some more bigger bass showing up in the rips in that area now. Again, sort of like the Scituate area, I haven't heard of anything really big, but definitely fish into the high 20s and low 30-pound range are being caught there. Probably the average fish is much smaller than that, though. Coming around into the Sound, into Nantucket Sound itself, bonitos seem to be sticking with Nantucket mostly, but they are making charges over to the Vineyard. It seems to be mostly rumors at this point, but you know, I tend to want to believe those rumors. And while I haven't heard of any bonito showing up on the mainland, I gotta believe that that will happen very soon. And if this year's like anything like last year, we're probably about 10 to 12 days away from the first albies showing up. So, you know, start your engines on that one. Coming around into Buzzards Bay, same story as it's been the last month or so. You know, the water's very warm in Buzzards Bay, especially eastern Buzzards Bay. And, you know, really the only fishing I'm hearing about is some bluefish, schoolies, you know, in some of the harbors, and then some really deep water sea bass, you know, here and there. The canal continues its up and down year, and for more detail on that, let's toss it over to East End Eddie.
Hi Dave, it's a windy day here at Pole 20 on the mainland side of the canal. We've got the tail end of a east rising tide flowing by. I just want to stop by giving the results of Harold Skelton's fishing tournament from last weekend. Fishing from Mission 22, where Harold, who's an Air Force veteran, raised close to $30,000 for veterans in need. And there were 252 participants, including the pig roast that he had at the end. And so the heaviest bluefish was caught by John Leggett from Rentham, 6.5-pound yellow-eyed devil that must have put up quite a fight. And the youth division was won by a young man from, a 15-year-old from Buzzards Bay named Capt Keene, caught a 33-inch striped bass. And the adult division, Renzo Kelly from Walpole took top honors with a 37-inch striper. He was chunky. And the interesting thing about that is that it was Renzo's first day on the canal. He'd never fished here before, and he actually caught that 37-inch on his third cast, so which was essentially his third cast of his life on the canal. So congratulations to them and to all the participants and to all the sponsors who were so generous with their gifts. And congratulations to Harold Skelton, who's a great man. And so the canal's been hit or miss, but a couple of 40-inch stripers were jigged up off the bottom with Savage Mac soft plastic jigs, and some guys are still being successful chunking. And speaking of chunking, some mackerel finally entered the canal the other day, so hopefully they stay and the predators find out about it and they come in too. And the other good news is that tonight is a full moon, so hopefully that develops into something and the fish react to that and become very active. So my tip of the week is that you should use your rod, use your fishing rod when you're going up and down the side of the canal. The riprap stone bank can be very dangerous, so if you use the butt end of your rod for stability, it'll help with your safety. So until next week, be safe and catch a big one. This is East End Eddie on the Cape Cod Canal.
Thanks, Eddie. Appreciate the report. Last little bit on saltwater. If you do want to get into some bottom fishing, it's been really good, you know, on the western end of Buzzards Bay and then heading over into Rhode Island waters. So you may want to jump in with Captain Jason Colby on Little Sister Charters. The guy's always on the fish, and I mean, he's one of the best bottom fishermen I've ever fished with. So definitely check that out. And to wrap things up in Massachusetts, let's toss it over to Leyve and hear what's happening on the freshwater front.
Hey Dave, Roy here with this week's Western Mass Report. Finally a cool day after this massive heat wave we had. It was sent us, I think, 6 or 7 days, 90 degrees plus. The only good thing about that is whenever, you know, you get weather stretches that are kind of the same, they create patterns. And I think somebody else wants to do the fishing report for us. But anyways, I was saying, you know, the bass fishing and pike fishing has just been incredible out here in Western Mass with those hot days, consecutive hot days. All top water, obviously fishing stuff that you see here in the background, a lot of pads, all that weedy structure. I mean, those fish just partake to that when it gets really, really hot. And it's a really easy way to target them and know that there's a consistent bite. This morning, temperatures are in the 70s. We finally cooled off. The humidity's gone. I think it's going to be like 80 today, which obviously is going to change the bite. I don't know what that's going to be like until I get out there and have at it. But my guess is over the next week, it's going to continue to be the same. We still do need a lot of rain, so the rivers are really, really low. So that in favor, you know, pushes a lot of fish into some of those deeper holes. So if you're fishing the rivers, look for some of that deeper water. If you're doing bass or pike or pickerel or panfish, you know, early mornings and evenings always great. During the day in the mid of the summer, look for structure, and that's where you're going to find those fish. All right, catch you guys next week. Another thing too is don't count out night fishing. This is a good time of the year to do night fishing, and I might do the same over the next couple of weeks, because I tell you what, those 90-degree days last week, I fished probably 3 or 4 days straight in that hot sun. Man, it beats the crap out of you. All right, catch you guys later.
Over in Rhode Island is where we're seeing most of the exotic species happening. I've seen frigate mackerel now, tons of chub mackerel, and many other species. And for more on some of that, let's toss it over to Coral Aiello from Sara Star Charters.
Hi Dave, Coral here from Sara Star Charters with the Rhode Island Fishing Report. We have officially reached the dog days of summer. It has been very, very hot. The water temperatures are definitely heating up. The average inshore temperature recently is around 68 to 72. The big bass are not as consistent as they were previously, but we are still getting them, probably because of these warming waters. The sea bass bite has still been pretty good. Definitely in deeper water, I feel like there's a better thermocline for them, around 60 feet. We're definitely getting good sea bass there. Jigs and on bait. About 6 miles out the other day, I actually caught a mahi. So that's how you know the waters are pretty warm. We hit around 75 degrees, only about 20 minutes steam off of Newport, catching some bull mahi. There's been peanut bunker around. I'm seeing a lot of it in the bay. A lot of birds working. And on the peanut bunker, of course, there's some bluefish, some stripers, and actually some bonito going on. So not, you know, pretty soon here, we should definitely see some albies, some stuff's going on to get this, you know, August bite going.
The other thing that's been looking really good in Rhode Island is bottom fishing, sea bass, even some summertime tautog fishing. Scup fishing's been great. And one of my buddies, John Lee from JL Charters, is doing a lot of that lately. So let's let him report on how the fishing's been this week.
Hey Dave, John Lee, JL Charters. This week we've been doing a lot of light tackle trips, fishing the rain bait for stripers and blues. It's been a lot of fun. Jumping minnows, jar spooks, getting mixed of bass and blues. We've also been doing sea bass trips, which is getting a little bit trickier, but we're finding fish. You got to move a lot. You can't just set up on a long drift and expect to fill the boat. And we've done a few blackfish trips in shallow water. One of my customers had an 8-pounder on a light rod in 18 feet of water. So the fishing is changing. I'm not going to say every day is good, but we're having quite a bit of fun out here. Alrighty, until next time, take care.
Thanks, John. I really enjoyed that report. That's your best one by far so far, and I'll be looking forward to the next one. Appreciate that again. out of block, you're hearing about, the bass fishing just hasn't been as consistent. It seems like it's mostly a live eel thing right now, and it's just not as much of a guarantee. Still plenty of nice fish being taken out on the ledge though, and probably the best fluking is taking place, between the east grounds and the windmills right now as well. So that's that's another reason to make the run out to block. If you want to stay closer to shore and look for fluke, definitely the best place to be looking is off the South County beaches. It's been more consistent over the last few weeks, but certainly hasn't been as consistent as what history has shown us it can be. So you're going to work for them a little bit, but there are fish there. Bass fishing on the breachways has been, at least in my opinion, as a hardcore surf guy, and for a summer as warm as this one has been, it's been better than what you would expect. Better than what you would expect, and we've got a major moon right now, so it's a pretty good chance that the fishing is going to be even a little bit better than it has been. So that might be a good place to give a look. And that's what I have for you guys in Rhode Island this week. Over in Connecticut, I've been hearing that the race has been getting to, becoming a little more fall-like. A lot of chub mackerel in there. The frigates are in there. Bluefish, lots of bass, a lot of surface activity. And, the screen just lit up with fish when you're driving over some of those, some of that crazy bottom out there. Guys are doing well on diamond jigs. They're doing well on top waters. And the fishing has just really been kind of coming together in a big way in that area. So that's definitely a place worth checking out this weekend. Heading further into the Sound, getting over toward the Connecticut River, things are still looking good. That area has been holding up very well throughout this whole summer. And for a little more on that, let's toss it over to Captain Mike Roy from Real Cash Charters.
Hey, what's up, guys? For this week's Fisherman Report, starting with striped bass, there has been a lot of topwater activity. However, depending on the schools that you find, some of them are pretty finicky. You'll see large schools of smaller striped bass feeding on the surface by the thousands, and they're swimming with their mouths open, sucking down microbait, and those fish are usually pretty hard to catch. But we did see a couple mornings where we saw fish that were feeding much more aggressively on a different bait fish, and these fish were popping on the surface and blowing bait, and they were hitting small topwater lures like a 5-inch walk the dog type plug, like the Shimano high pitch walk has been a good one in bone or white color. Also, for larger striped bass, as I've been saying, live bait's the ticket, and there is a decent amount of big striped bass, and I know some of the other charter boats that are trolling wire and lead core line, they're also doing good on the deeper reefs. So there are some big bass out there for those willing to put in the time to find them. The blue fishing has been pretty good in the deeper areas. Diamond jigging has been producing some large bluefish. And also, going back to the striper fishing, one bonus catch we've seen quite a bit this week is some giant black sea bass that are actually eating live eels as we're striper fishing. So there are some more larger sea bass around. Seems like this year we've been a little bit behind on the bigger sea bass, but I think that's starting to improve now. And then I talked to a couple people that went fluke fishing with fair to mediocre results. A couple keepers here and there is what I've been hearing. So that's all I have for you. Good luck.
1, 2, 3. Now we'll head further into the Sound and we'll check in with Max from Fisherman's World on what's going on in the Western Sound.
This week we've seen a steady pickup back with fluke fishing. We've heard of a lot of limits, in that 19 to 22 inch range. It seems like that 20 to 40 mark has been the best. There's been a lot of small bait around. So guys are on the backside of the islands drifting like 26, 24, the backside of Sheffield. If you're marking cloud to bait, that'd be a good time to drop down your bucktails and start fluking. And once you hit one, hit mark. The porgy fishing still remains red hot. Guys are getting them deep water structure, deeper reefs, from the beaches, from the piers, clams, squid, sandworms. Black sea bass, I mean, they're mixed in when guys are getting like bycatch fluking, but your best bet is definitely get on some deep water wrecks or structure. Jigs, you know, bring clam chum, drop a pot down, high lows with clam, squid, and then bluefish. In our area, we have a lot of cocktail sized blues, and then out in the middle of the sound, there's been some gators, like, you know, 12 plus pounds. To our west, there's still a lot of big bluefish, and to our east, so it's actually filling in really nicely with the bluefish tournament coming up at the end of the month. The bass bite still remains slow. Guys that are catching them are, you know, plugging first light and then last light and then chunking throughout the night. There's been a good early morning bite on the deeper water reefs with bass on top, but like by 7:38, that bite really dies with this heat. Thanks and good luck.
Thanks, Max. Appreciate the report, and we'll check in with you again next week. And now we're gonna see what's going. Now we're gonna check in with Rowan, Lytle, and Captain Noah Johnson, and talk to them about some of the underutilized fisheries that we have here in New England.
Hey Dave, a bunch of interesting and unusual opportunities keep popping up now, especially in the salt. If you're looking for a weird live bait option, there's a bunch of Atlantic mackerel around in Fisher's Island, Block Island, and Long Island Sound this year. They're very small tinker mackerel. They're only a few inches long. You can catch them on small flies, very, very tiny jigs or sabiki rigs. And they're a pretty decent live bait option for a variety of species. Bring them inshore, throw them around rock piles to get striped bass. Fish them deep, you might pick up some fluke on them. It's kind of an interesting option. We haven't had these fish around in these parts for many, many years now.
And also, one of the things the mackerel have brought in, as well as the copious amount of bluefish, have been a tremendous amount of sharks, which are there to eat both the mackerel and the bluefish. I've been seeing thresher sharks on head boats. Apparently on days where I wasn't there, there was white sharks present. There's also been a copious amount of brown sharks inshore where they can be caught even from the beaches. So things are looking pretty interesting.
Yep, whether you're interested in catching small stuff or giant stuff, there's options right now, that's for sure.
And that's what I have for you guys this week. Hopefully these reports will help you get through the week and help you catch more fish. Appreciate again all the support you guys have been giving me, and you know, as I always say, if you're not a subscriber to the Fisherman, check out the website. There's a lot of stuff. There's a full gamut of what we offer over there. You get a really good idea of what the magazine's all about. But at the very least, give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube, and hit that little bell thing down there so you get a notification every time we post something new. Really appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Here's the update for the Dreamboat contest. I guess all the wind has put a damper on things, so we have no new entries. But we would like to congratulate the Fish of the Month winner for July, Anthony Mega of Suffern, New York, who weighed in this 13.37 pound fluke on July 10th at Jack's Bait and Tackle. Sea bass is the August Fish of the Month, and the weekend is looking good to hit the sea bass grounds. The Dreamboat Fishing Challenge is the Fisherman subscriber-only multi-species fishing competition with a chance to win a new Steigercraft 23 Miami powered by Yamaha, along with many other great prizes. Visit thefisherman.com to subscribe and get all the details so you can be part of the action. As for the Coastal Kayak Clash, same story, no new entries this week. Hopefully this weekend's weather will change that. See you right here at thefisherman.com.